Hello everyone, welcome back to the Echo Wood. Today I'm going to show you exactly how you can make this cozy landscape. You will need my free brush set, which you can grab through the link in the description. If you enjoy this tutorial, please be sure to subscribe and like the video and hit the bell notification so you can stay up to date on all of my future videos. Starting with a new canvas, I chose the screen size, which for me is 2732 pixels by 2048 pixels. And today we're going to be using the Cozy Landscape color palette that I made, and you can get this on my Patreon. You just have to join as a free member. Starting with the background, we're going to choose this blue color that is the third in the second row, and we're going to create a new layer. Let's choose this gray color in the first row, and this is going to be our mountain range. Using the Echo Wood brush, we're going to start drawing this mountain range, which is essentially just a series of sharp edges and zigzags. And after we draw this shape across, you're going to loop it around the entire canvas and then drag and drop your color. Next, let's create a new layer, and I'm using this green color in the bottom row, and you're going to essentially draw something very similar, a series of straight jagged shapes. It's kind of a second mountain range or some hills with peaks, and then you're going to loop the shape around so you can fill that in as well. And as you can see, I needed to go back and fix my shape a little bit more. I was giving a little bit of Grinch mountaintop, and so that looks a little bit better, and filling that in. Let's create a new layer on top of that, and we'll choose this green color as the very last color in the palette. The same idea here where we're taking it across the page, but this one we're going to stop about 3/4 of the way through and loop it back around and fill in that color. And I fixed the edge a little bit there. Next we'll make a new layer, and we'll choose this green color in the last row. And we'll take that color across the canvas as well, loop it back, and fill in the color. Add a new layer, and we'll choose this light green color instead. And this one's going to extend about halfway across the canvas. Fill that in. New layer, and we'll take the lightest green color and do the same shape here. And they added a bit more to the top and extended it all the way to the other side of the canvas. New layer, and we'll take this gold color in the first row across the canvas. New layer, and then we'll choose this kind of orange peachy color, and that will be the final one of these color blocking layers. Okay, next we're going to work on the mountain layer. So we're going to add a new layer above this layer and clip it in. Still using Echo Wood as the brush and this kind of orangey peach color, we're going to start forming the right side of the mountain ranges. And as you can see, I'm not really sticking to any particular kind of shape, just kind of making these abstract shapes along the mountain range. Are there better ways to color things in? Yes, but sometimes this just works. And here I brought my Echo Wood brush down to about 9%, just so I could get a little bit more of those sharp edges. And let's add a new layer, and we're going to choose this color that is the second one in the first row, and make sure that layer is clipped in as well. And we're just gonna start making kind of the shadows on the left side of the mountain range. And as we're going through and drawing these, I just wanted to check in with you guys for a second and ask, how do you feel about the pacing of these videos? Is this kind of too slow? Is it too fast? What kinds of things do you like to see in your tutorials? So if you could share those in the comments with me, I'd really appreciate that. And then I realized that this layer should probably be underneath the previous layer that we just did. So I just switched them here quick. Okay, so you should have something like this, and I'll give you all a second to catch up if you need to. And next, we're going to add a new layer on top of this shadow layer. And let's choose this third color. And just keeping it really consistent, we're just adding in more of these abstract shapes. I would love it if you would share your thoughts for moments like this where we're just drawing simple, repetitive shapes over and over again. Is that something that you would like more direction on? Or is that a time where you prefer the silence so that you can work it out on your own? Or maybe do you prefer music in the background during these moments? So if you would share those in the comments, I would really love to get your feedback on that. All right, moving on to the next color. Let's make a new layer, and then we're going to choose this orange color on the end of the first row. And let's reduce our brush even further, maybe to about 3%. And I'm sticking to much smaller shapes for this part. And finally, we are going to create a new layer and make sure that's clipped in, and you're going to choose white. You can do that by double tapping in the upper left hand corner, and we're going to draw even smaller shapes. Okay, we have now concluded with the mountain range section. Now we're going to tackle the hill section in front of the mountain. So you're going to create a new layer above that hill layer, clip it in, and choose this green color. And next we'll start drawing this jagged edge shape along this mountain range, and we will fill that in with the same color. Then we'll do the same on the left-hand side with this green color that's all the way to the bottom right in the color palette. To make sure that you can do the color drop fill correctly, once you are finished with this line, make sure that you loop it around underneath to close the loop so there aren't any openings or breaks in the line. And this one section was bugging me a little bit, so I filled in that shape. We're going to continue working on this hill section. So you're going to create a new layer, clip it in, and choose this green color that is third from the end. And similar to what we did on the mountain layer behind it, we are going to create these highlights in the hills. And again, make sure that you are closing your loop so you can do the color drop fill correctly. And I like how this looks so far, so I'm just adding a few more of those shapes. Next, we're going to add a new layer on top of this green layer that I just toggled. And after creating that new layer, you're going to clip it in and choose this green color in the color palette and still using the Echo Wood brush. All we're going to do is extend this rough line across the shape. Next, go to layer 4 that I just toggled, and you're going to add a new layer, clip it in, and choose this green color again. Let's make the Echo Wood brush a little bit bigger. We'll go to about 13% and draw a line across. We're just going section by section in these color blocks, adding a new layer and clipping it in to that color block section just to add a little bit more detail. Doing the same with this section again. Just going to add a new layer, clip it in, choose this green color. I think adding these horizontal lines, it really adds a little bit more dimension. You're really creating additional depth, so it looks like the mountain ranges are further away. Let's do the same for this gold or yellow section. Create a new layer, clip it in, and then we'll choose this orange color and we'll raise the size of the brush a little bit. And let's do the same for the kind of tan peachy color in the foreground. New layer, clip it in, and choose this pink color. All right, if you were following along and have made it this far in the video, please give it a like or share your comments. All right, next in this video, we're going to create a lake. So add a new layer at the very top and choose this blue color in the second row. And let's reduce our brush size to about 16%. And don't worry about the shape too much of this lake because I am going to go in with liquify after I fill it, and so it will fill the space a little bit better as well. With your selection tool and making sure you're on uniform, you can play around with the size a little bit. Next, let's go to liquify in the adjustments panel, and all I'm trying to do is make sure that the lake follows along with those horizontal lines that we did just a little while ago. Next, let's create a path or a road. So we're going to add a new layer and choose this soft color in the second row. And we're also going to go to our Actions panel, Preferences, Pressure and Smoothing, and increase the stabilization. And that is going to help us draw this zigzaggy shape a little bit smoother. And as you can tell, or I hope you can tell, I'm trying to follow the contours of these horizontal lines as best as I can. And if you're having trouble following along with these lines, the Liquify tool is also um, very helpful to push your path back on the right track. Next, I'd like to add a few more details to this lake. So you're going to create a new layer, clip it in, choose this blue color, make sure you're using Echo Wood for the brush, and be sure to reduce that stabilization so it is set to none. And similar to what we did with the mountain ranges, we're just going to draw these repetitive ripple shapes. And we'll do a new layer, clip it in, and we will change the color. And we'll reduce the brush size a little bit. New layer, we're going to clip it in, and we're choosing white this time, so double tap in the upper left hand corner. I felt like the two blue layers were standing out a little bit too much, so I did select each of those and reduce the opacity on those down to about 35 or 40% for each of them. Okay, now that the lake is done, we're going to start with the sky. We're going to create a new layer, and this layer should be above the background layer but below the mountain range. And let's start by drawing this really faint cloud shape and fill that in. And then create these horizontal streaks coming off of this cloud to the right. Keeping it really wispy, I'm going to trace around this shape to the right. It's a little hard to see at this distance, but just outlining the shape a little bit more with these wispy cloud-like strokes. Continuing to be really delicate with the details, trying not to overdo it, just going in with these really thin strokes. Trying to be really intentional about this, and then once you have your shapes looking something like this, then you will add a new layer and we're going to create more like billowy type clouds. And choosing white and keeping still with the same Echo Wood brush, let's just start drawing horizontal lines, and then that will become more of these scallop type shapes. I'm almost sketching out the outer shapes of these clouds. And then once you have that, you're going to take it upwards and do these more scalloped or arc type shapes. And keep it mostly small and medium-sized arcs with the occasional larger arc. And you can add some small wisps also coming off of these cloud shapes as well. I'm doing a combination of these freehand arcs where the shape isn't super perfect, and also holding the shape and letting it snap into the perfect arc shape where I can play with the angles a little bit more and rotate it if I need to. And here I'm just extending the lowest cloud out a little bit more and filling in these cloud shapes. Next, let's add a little more detail to the clouds. Let's add a new layer and clip it in. And we're going to choose this color in the first row. And I brought my brush size up to about 16%. And we're going to begin with this repetition of creating these rounded shapes throughout the clouds. Okay, so you should have something like that so far, and we're going to create a new layer and clip it in, and we're going to choose a different color. We're going to start with this pink color in the second row, except I am dragging it on the color wheel over to the left a bit so it is a little bit paler. So it's starting to remind me of Neapolitan ice cream, and it's making me really hungry. And we'll do a new layer again and clip it in, and we're going even paler this time. And the final step on these clouds, we're going to add a new layer, clip it in, and choose white. And this time we're going to start drawing these kind of highlights on the clouds, and I reduced my brush size as well. For the most part, I'm only following the um, rounded edges that are already in place. Now, going back to the main white cloud shape layer, as soon as I drew this section, I knew I needed to fix it. And you can either mask it or you can use the eraser, but I needed to fix this area because it was absolutely bugging me. Okay, that feels a little bit better. And so next, I felt like this cloud layer, the color felt too dark, so I'm reducing the opacity to about 50%. Next, let's add a sunset effect to the sky. So you're going to create a new layer, and this should be behind all of the clouds. We're going to switch our brush to puff, and we're going to choose this kind of golden color and increase our brush to 100% and reduce the opacity on the brush. And you can see ever so slightly behind the mountain ranges that it's starting to warm up beyond it. Next, choose this even paler color in the second row, and that is going to go in the middle of the mountain ranges where you just put that kind of golden tone, and in the middle is where the sun is going to be. Next, you'll choose this pale color in the first row, and we're just stacking it on top, going right above it. It should be about in line with the lowest cloud formation. It's a really subtle effect. We're not going for anything drastic here. Next, we're going to choose this blue color in the third row, and you're going to sweep that across the middle of the sky, still stacking colors, and this is going to be about the area of the second cloud formation. And next we're going to choose this kind of purpley color, and that is going to be above that and the same level about as the top cloud formation. And finally, we're going to choose this dark navy color and go at the top and add a little bit more contrast at the top of the canvas and behind the clouds to the right and behind the mountain ranges on the right. I find that this creates a little bit more definition, and going into the layers, I'm going to isolate this layer so you can see that a little bit better, how the colors are set up and separated. So hopefully that is making a little bit more sense how those colors work. And now we're going to create a new layer and make our suns. We're going to choose this golden yellow color and switch our brush to gumdrop. Brush size is going to be about 50-51%, and we're just drawing a small circle. And if you tap the screen, it'll be a perfect circle, and then create a new layer on top of that and use this really pale yellow color. Draw outside of that, and then we are going to go to our adjustments panel and choose Gaussian blur, and we'll blur that out to about 5% and then move that layer underneath the sun layer. And this kind of beam of light layer was a little off center, so I moved it over with my selection tool. Going back to the path layer, it should be the very top layer. I chose to mask the layer. If you want to use just the eraser, you can certainly do that. I felt like the path needed to be a little bit thinner and less smooth and a little bit more jagged. So I'm going in and masking this, and so um, just slimming it down slightly, and I want it to look a little bit more rough than what it is currently looking like. Felt like I still needed a little bit extra help, and so I went into my actions palette and pressure and smoothing and increased that stabilization. And as the path gets thicker, I did increase the brush size. Okay, I would like to continue adding more detail to kind of the greenery section, specifically a tree line. So we're going to add another layer and clip it into this layer here and select our tree line brush. And I'd like to add it along this darker green section here, and I'm going to reduce the brush size to about 5 or 6% and just exactly like what the name is, create a tree line across that whole area. And I'm just doing a straight line for now because we are going to rotate it when we're done making the line of trees. And with our selection tool on uniform, we're just going to rotate it and enlarge it, and also then switch to distort. And we're going to skew the tree line a little bit so it's still pointing straight up. And since this tree line is so far in the background, I'm not really concerned with the detail of it too much. And we're going to do something similar here on the left side. And there was a little bit that was sticking out underneath that line that I erased. And then going into this next section of greenery, I'm going to add a new layer, clip it in, choose this lighter color, and we're going to add in some tall grass. And that is very similar with the tree line stamp brush. You just reduce the size of your brush and continue to stamp just like this wherever you want the tall grass to appear. And we'll do a new layer, clip it in, and do the same with the grass on the other side. Oh, and I just realized I need to switch it to the lightest green color. There we go. And new layer right here, and clip it in, and you're going to add more of the grass. And here I felt that I had a little bit too much grass, specifically here by the road. And so I went back in with my eraser tool set at Echo Wood and just erased some of the areas of grass. And we're going to do the same with this orange section of layers. You're going to create a new layer, clip it in, and you're going to choose this kind of yellowish gold color and start stamping the grass in this area as well. And we'll do the same with this pink section in the foreground. We'll add a new layer, clip it in, and we'll start stamping, and we'll increase the size of the brush a little bit more here. Now, this is totally optional, but I felt like I wanted to add some little people off in the distance. And so you go to the very top path layer, make a new layer, and then I chose this dark navy color and the Echo Wood brush and just slowly starting to draw these little shapes. So starting really simple, just going in with an oval for the head, and then I started kind of drawing what I intended as some sort of backpack, and then the shoulders, and a little bit of an arm coming out, and then his bottom, and then drawing his legs and then his little feet. And then I thought he should have another leg and another foot, and then just kind of thickening up the rest of his form a little bit more. And so something like that. And then I was like, okay, well, he shouldn't hike alone. He should have a friend with him as well. And so then I started drawing this other person. I was kind of going for like a hat, and then this person has a backpack as well, and then some shorts, and then he has his legs coming down and little feet. Okay, and because I decided we needed even more detail, going back to kind of where we drew the trees, let's draw another line of this green color, and just adding slowly to the shape. And then just carrying this line across to the other side. I don't know, I just felt like it needed a little bit more dimension and more of these horizontal stripes. And so we're doing the same in this kind of orange section. I am very much guilty of overworking my art projects. So if you want to stop, you feel free to stop. But I just felt like it needed a little bit something more. And this area to the right was bugging me, so I added a little bit more green. And then in this hill area, I also added some stripes of that lighter green color. And again, completely optional. It went back to the path layer and made a new layer and clipped it in and started adding a little bit more depth to this path. Now back to the green hill layer in front of the mountain range, I want to add a new layer and clip that in as well. And we're going to choose this green color, but then on the color wheel, drag it down so it's even darker and choose puff. And just gently, we're going to create these darkened shadows in kind of the valleys of this area. Trying not to overdo it. And then we're going to do the same with the mountain range layers. Add a new layer, clip it in, and choose this dark navy color. And still with the puff brush, you can see it starting on the left, just in the kind of valley area, more to the left of each peak. We're just going to add some shadowing. I feel like with the clouds above it, there would be some natural shadows being cast on those areas. And at this point, I think I was honestly just delirious and decided to add some flowers in the foreground. And so at the very top of your canvas, added a new layer, just completely winging it at this point. Just drawing in these really loose, abstract flower shapes. I feel like I don't even know where this is going anymore, but choosing this blue color and just continuing to add to the flowers here in the foreground. And I made a new layer and I'm choosing this kind of reddish orange color here. And I did a new layer and picked white and going through and adding a bunch of dots to the centers of these flowers. Then I switched to this navy color for the dots. Then I created a new layer underneath these flowers and started creating the green stems. Then I switched to this lighter green for some highlights. And then I increased the brush to about 53% and drew this horizontal line at the bottom of the canvas. And then, of course, the flowers needed more details, so I reduced the brush and chose this blue color. And is making these little arc shapes similar to what we did on the clouds. And then let's switch to this orange color. And let's switch to this pale color in the first row. And at this point, I thought the blades of grass on the stems were looking a little bit sparse. So I added a new layer behind that and chose this green color at the very end of the palette. And I thought we might as well use the tall grass stamp brush. And I brought the sizing up to about 22% and began stamping here. And that's it. We're done. You guys, I think we did it. It's honestly a bit of a fever dream. Hey, if you guys actually made it to the end of this tutorial, could you comment fever dream in the comments just for fun? All right, thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.